into work and the other lad was off sick. And he never has time off. Like, he's like the Terminator. I've never seen him sneeze, for fuck's sake. And it was just weird how everybody that had been not for sick in kind of like November, December, when COVID kind of came round, it didn't really seem to affect like those people.
Yeah.
Very odd.
Yeah, and that could be it. I don't know, but I've heard other people that have gotten it again. Like we have.
Yeah, like straight.
Yeah, and for the folks at home that are listening, we're talking about COVID right now, unfortunately. And I forgot to hit record, so you've missed the past like 20 minutes of us ranting, which may be a good thing. So you don't have to hear about all the depressing shit. So anyways, we're on to us discussing how we thought we had it before it like actually was here because we're special. And so, yeah, I was the same way. I thought that I had it in November or so. And my wife runs a childcare and preschool here, and we constantly have kids coming out. We didn't close during COVID. Like for the first 3 months, nobody came because they were scared, but we were still open. And then gradually people started coming back as, things sort of, they got tired of being at home or being home with their kids or whatever. And I think only like maybe one kid ended up having COVID, but, they never ended up coming here, and so nobody ever really got sick. But this year, we've got like, I don't know, 6 kids that have gotten it in the past, in the past 3 weeks. And it's insane. And because they can't get vaccinated and their parents are just out doing whatever the fuck they want to do and not caring, which sucks. And so all these little kids are getting sick, and I'm just like, man, thankfully that this thing doesn't hit kids as hard as it does older people. It would be really, really crazy scary, but and we have this one little girl that's gotten it like 3 times. And it's like, Mom, like, take care of your business, like, do you, right? Like, I just don't understand the mentality of it. Like,
I have a suggestion.
Yeah.
Would you like to hear it?
I do. I want to hear it.
You've already heard it twice.
I have.
Feed them some Stilton cheese.
Oh my God, Stilton cheese again.
Yep. Start mixing it up. Do a little cheese board. Get some grapes, a little bit of Stilton, a spinach leaf, lunch. There you go.
Uh-huh.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Every time I hear Stilton, I think of the little mouse from the cartoon. Not eating a mouse, Carly.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure that's a different kind of mold. I don't think it's gonna work, but you haven't been sick. Everybody you've given it to hasn't gotten sick. Wait, did Street eat it?
No. See, this is the thing. Okay, this is the crux of my diagnosis, right? He refuses to eat Stilton cheese because he's a weirdo, quite frankly. I could chase him around.
It's nasty.
I could chase him around with a block of Stilton cheese and he would run away.
Yeah, I would too. It's nasty. It smells funny.
I've done it for fun before. I know he can run away from it. So I'm just saying, body defenses down.
Okay.
Booster vaccine, bit of penicillin, get some Stilton on the go. Zap it in there.
All right. Well, I mean, you could be right. I guess, we've been, offered hydrochloroquine or whatever it's called. We've been offered bleach and UV lights. Why not moldy cheese?
Why not moldy cheese? Why not moldy cheese? Right. They might call me a madman, but I'll tell you what, madman standing.
Right? All right. Well, Carly, we got an interesting drink for tonight. I tried to find something to go along with like the mystery aspect of our. That's another thing that we're doing a little bit different tonight, folks. This isn't a movie that we're going to discuss. We're going to discuss a TV show that came out in 2020, and we're going to talk about the pilot episode. Because
Jason didn't send me the bloody rest.
I'm evil. You can only see the pilot, and that's it. So tonight's drink is called the okay. I should have sent you this to introduce it because I'm going to fuck it up. All right. The Matatuck mystery cocktail.
You know that's a new promo, don't you, that's going on Facebook? You're trying to pronounce whatever the hell that is.
Whatever. You should just do a smash cut of all my mispronunciations.
I'm kidding. When I have time, I tell you what.
I would endorse that. I think that might be funny or embarrassing. Well, it'll be embarrassing no matter what. But so I don't know what Matatuck is, but apparently there is. I did find another spelling called Madatuck with a D, which there's some sort of mystery out there in the world that I didn't have time to look up. And I think that's what this drink is named after.
It's like something out of a bloody horror film.
Yeah, but they do spell it different with a bunch of T's in it. So anyway, the Matatuck. No, I did that wrong again. Matatuck mystery cocktail. They just need to rename it mystery cocktail.
I was going to say maybe we should just go with that.
All right. So this has 2 ounces of coconut rum, 2 ounces of dark rum, a half cup of cranberry juice. All right.
I mean,
a half cup of orange juice, 1 orange slice halved, I guess is just garnish, 1 lime slice halved as I guess garnish. I don't know. It doesn't say let's see what it says here. All right. So that's probably good because it's a rum drink, right? It's going to be really sweet, especially with the cranberry juice and the orange juice in there. All right. So yeah. And then it's served in ice. So the directions are to fill 2 glasses with ice and pour 1 ounce of each rum and a 1/4 cup of each fruit juice into the glasses. Stir and garnish each glass with half an orange slice and lime slice. Okay, so this is I guess that maybe I should have read this ahead of time.
Hold on, are you telling me for the first time ever that the ice doesn't sound different?
Yeah, it's not a shaken, it's a stirred. Yeah. So then this recipe is for 2 glasses for two people. These are 2 servings. So if you want to make just one, just cut everything in half. All right.
Or just drink it. I mean, it's a party.
Or just have a fucking double. Good. There we go. And there you go, folks. That's the Matatuck mystery cocktail. Am I the only one that says cocktail? Or do you pronunciate the cocktail?
We're British, of course we do.
Okay. And I found out recently from my daughter that Californians, their accents do not pronunciate T's, I guess, well. And so she had me saying a bunch of words that have T's in it, and she's right. It's very strange.
Ooh, say a word with T in it.
Don't.
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 Don't. We don't pronounce the T. It's weird. Like, don't tell me that. Don't.
Oh, who's lazy
I don't know.
now? Who's lazy now?
Okay, so...
You said we were skipping letters.
You are. Coconut. Like, we don't pronounce the T. Coconut. Like, you know what I'm saying, right? But we don't say coconut. Coconut. Nutcase. Nutcase. You heard of that nutcase? Fruit juice. My tongue doesn't even touch to make the T. It's fruit juice.
Fruit juice. Who wants some fruit juice?
Fruit juice. It's funny. I never thought about it.
Is that why you don't say yogurt properly?
What'd you call it?
Yogurt.
Yogurt.
You say like
Is that
yogurt.
Are you Scottish? Yogurt.
Not right now.
Yogurt.
Yogurt.
So I'm not pronouncing the yogurt. Yogurt. You're saying yogurt.
Yeah, yogurt. I'll have a nice strawberry yogurt.
Yogurt. Wouldn't that be Y-A? Not instead of Y-O? It's Y-O. Yo.
Don't do that again.
Yogurt. In my case, yogurt. It's a yogurt. It's not an ogre, it's a yogurt. I don't know. Actually, I do. My wife wears the pants in the family. She does the ordering. That's how it goes, okay? Just be realistic here.
Thank God for that, otherwise you'd starve.
She is the man of the house, sadly, for her. I don't know. Maybe that's a good thing for her. I don't know. Yeah, so she orders. She orders things. I just usually go, I'll have that one right there. And then she'll be like, he'll have the blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, I'd pronunciate it wrong anyway. So, don't take me to an Italian restaurant. There's just too many letters.
Oh, God.
All right, folks, there you go. I hope you enjoy your Matatuck mystery cocktail. And stick around for the trailer for our TV show pilot for the night. Just TV show pilot. That's such a mouthful. For our episode, I don't know. Yeah, we're gonna discuss a TV show pilot episode. Stick around for the trailer. We'll be back.
Mr. Mason, certain matters require discretion and finesse. That's the kind of thing you're good at. Wear your good suit.
This is my good suit.
You're a detective, Mr. Mason.
It's a fancy word for a busybody, but yes.
It's very easy for you to break the rules, isn't it? And you never accept any help.
How about I have a look? You stay in the truck.
Shut up. Start the car! How can we help you, Mr. Baggerly?
Members of my church. An unspeakable act has visited upon them.
Kidnapping gone way wrong. Worst thing you ever seen.
What do you know what I've seen?
We do what we don't like when there's a greater good to be served. You more than anyone should know that.
The devil put Charlie Dodson in this box.
Mr. Mason, it's hard to believe that you're the right person for the job.
I'm the only person for this job.
All they've got is innuendo and circumstance.
We have to go after him!
Why are you digging so hard?
It's the way I play the game.
You want to know things, Mr. Mason. You want to prove things. What comfort has that ever given you?
The man who will gather evidence against the devil.
You're saying the police are involved?
The cops, the church, everybody.
Blessed be the man who will snap this devil's neck.
I'm just about out of moves.
You said just about out of moves. So what's the move?
All right, guys, we are back. That was the trailer for the new television. Well, it's not new now because we're in 2022 and this came out in 2020, but I want to say new because Perry Mason originally came out in 1957, if you can believe it. So what's that, 75 years ago, whatever that is. And so this new iteration of Perry Mason hits HBO in 2020 in July. Thankfully. Oh, wait. Was it in July? Did it come out? I can't remember. Sometime in 2020 it came out. This thing had been in development for a really long time. And did you know who was originally supposed to play Perry Mason in this, Carly? I'm sure you do.
I do.
Yeah, I figured you would. All right. And why don't you tell everybody at home?
It's Robert Downey Jr.
Ah, amazing, right? And if you see Robert Downey next to the actor, like they kind of look alike too.
Yeah, but he ruined Sherlock Holmes, so I'm kind of happy that perhaps the book got passed.
You know, I don't necessarily think he ruined Sherlock Holmes per se. Like, I think he did. I think him and Jude Law, I think they both were fine in the movies. I think it was more of they just picked the wrong kind of director. Like, that guy's an action movie director, and obviously that's what they want to do, make a big tentpole kind of spectacle sort of thing. But really, I mean, they could have hired Ryan Wilson, or what's his name? Ryan
Reynolds? No.
Right? No. The director of Knives Out, right?
Okay, Rian Johnson.
Yeah, Ryan Johnson. Yeah, they could have got him to do the Sherlock Holmes, and that would have been fantastic, I think. But of course, that was many years before he did Knives Out, and you know, he would have had no clout there. But you know, they wanted that temple action thing, and so I don't know. I think Robert Downey Jr. and Jude Law were just fine in it. I thought they were okay. But the movie itself, I'm not a huge fan of, because it's like they tried to make Pirates of the Caribbean for Sherlock Holmes, and it's just like, I don't know. It was just silly to me. The TV show, on the other hand, with you better say his name.
You know his name. Come on.
It's say Benedict, right?
Yeah, say his surname. Say it. There's a T. Say it.
Wait, there's a what did I say? Bennett or Benedict?
No, Benedict.
Benedict.
Cumberbatch.
Cumberbatch? Is it? No, it's Cumberbatch. Batch, right? Benedict Cumberbatch. Batch. Damn it, am I saying it right?
You lost me at Benedict Cumberbatch.
Wait, is it?
It's not Batch.
It's not Batch?
It's
You say it.
I can't because I'm laughing.
Okay. All right. Anyway, his Sherlock was amazing. That was great. Him.
I started rewatching that as well.
Yeah, it's great. I just wish they would make more. I mean, obviously he's this megastar now, and he's like, screw you guys. That's TV, you know? And they had to leave it off on that Abominable Bride movie, I think was like the last thing they did. And that wasn't really that great. It was okay, but it wasn't great. Anyway, moving on. So for you guys at home, I'm sure you all know, or have at least heard of Perry Mason. Perry Mason originally aired in 1957, and it was one of the most successful legal dramas that ever hit the television. And it was the first weekly 1 hour series for television, which I was pretty, blown away to hear about that, because I figured there had to have been a lot. I guess they really only made like half-hour shows back then.
Yeah, because I've been watching The Fugitive, and I think that's only that might be on for an hour, but I think that might be 50s, 60s, late 50s, 60s. I can't remember.
Yeah, I think that was around the same time. I honestly, I think that might have been a half-hour show though.
Yeah, maybe,
and that might have been why they made so many episodes, because back then, like, television shows had like 40, 50 episodes. Like, it seemed like they really never really had a structure. Like it ran the entire year almost. So they were always in production, and then it went to like 24 episodes or so, I think maybe in like the 80s and then on. And then now over the past 10 years, we've been sort of copying the Brits a little bit with like their formatting, where you guys normally do like, I don't know, you guys are so sporadic. Like, some of your shows are like 2 episodes. Some of them are 4, some of them are 6, some of them are 8. It's like, it's so all over the map. Like But you make higher quality like stories. Like your stories are more contained and like more thought out, I think, than American TV is, to where it's just like, what are we going to do on this episode? Oh, you know what? Let's copy that episode from Diagnosis Murder and just change the names. Because that's pretty much what they do.
Yeah, we don't have like filler episodes. I think that's the difference. We don't have filler episodes.
Yeah, exactly. Like,
but then sometimes that takes the fun out because you don't have the fun little comedy episode.
Mm-hmm.
It's either all doom and gloom or nothing.
Right.
Or it's like serial killing. There's no downtime. I mean, if you're a serial killer, surely at some point you're going to celebrate the fact that you've got away with murdering your fifth person, right? We don't get to see that. Yeah, we don't get to see that. All we get is the cop in the pub for about 2 minutes having a pint, but then discovers some more evidence because he can't get drunk because there's no fucking time for that. We've got to get on. We've got to move.
That makes sense.
Yeah, we've only got 2 more episodes. We need to figure out he's divorced. Christ almighty, get the ball rolling.
Yeah, you may be right. And we're kind of following suit, though. We've sort of gotten away from the episode of the week thing and turned up. Most series now are into like serial, everything's connected kind of stories, which I think has been leading to that whole binge watch kind of thing. But it gets tiring, I think. There's very little levity, like you're talking about. Like there's no room for comedy or things like that, and a lot of stuff. And so sometimes I gotta like just stop watching a show just because it's like it gets too heavy or too dark or just too much.
Intense. Yeah. See, this is what I like so much about the X-Files, was as much as people criticize some of them daft episodes, like the Cops one. Is it called X Cops? Z Cops, whatever
something
the hell
like that.
it's called.
I can't remember.
So as much as people like criticize that as being a waste of time episode, I really enjoy just going back and going, do you know what? I really want to watch an episode of the X-Files, but I don't want to get tagged into the cigarette smoking man
mythology
who's been shoved down the stairs. At what point Alex Krycek's a good or a bad guy, or what his hair looks like. I just want to go and just watch them be silly and like chase Freddy Krueger down the street.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that was the cool thing about the X-Files and having so many episodes of it now. It went for so many seasons that there's plenty of standalone episodes. And that was sort of like Chris Carter at the time was sort of a master of that sort of juggling mythology with standalone, as the previously before that. I mean, X-Files was like 92, 93, something like that. Previously, what we had like MacGyver, where almost every fucking episode is standalone, which I love MacGyver, but you never were able to really, attach yourself to any sort of like storyline, other than those standalone episodes. So they had like little sort of threads in it, about his dad or grandfather, things like that, but nothing like no mythology really. And that's the same thing with like Knight Rider or any of those like 80s shows that came out. But now, and then in the 90s with the X-Files, things started changing. And now it's just like everything is that way. Like even comedy shows, it seems that way.
Exactly. Like can you imagine just go, oh, do you know what? I used to like 24. Let's watch an episode of 24. Fuck's sake, you've got to get bloody Google up to figure out who's who in this bloody episode. No, I'm all right. Mate.
Oh, yeah, that's impossible. You can't do that with 24. It's like, there's no way.
You can't just dive back into 24 casually. I'll just watch a random episode of 24.
Right. Yeah.
It's just not, but that's why sci-fi is quite good, because like stuff like Stargate, you can just jump in and watch a really silly episode that has nothing to do with anything else that's going on. It's just Richard Dean Anderson being funny.
Right. There you go. Yep. And I think that was like, I mean, he got a lot of flack for that too. Like when they first started that series, but he like really sort of took control, I think, of, I would think, the writer's room, because from what I understand, a lot of this stuff ended up being ad-libbed in the, I don't know. It seems like that would have been a crazy writer's room to be a part of on that show. But all right, anyway, getting back to Perry Mason. So Perry Mason, was the first 1 hour series on television, which is amazing. It won a whole bunch of awards. It ran for, I don't know, a bazillion years. No, it ran for 6, 7, like 8 years, maybe something like that.
Oh,
the first
I have a fun fact. Hold on. To watch the entire Perry Mason TV show from beginning to end without any breaks, it would take approximately 10 days of your life.
Oh, that's it? 10 days? I don't think you could stay for 10 days straight.
No. But maybe we should all try it, I think.
Okay. I'm going to need a lot of what is the name of our drink?
Oh, my God. Well, you're out straight away.
Mysteries. That is interesting. Now, if you were to, after this show ended in 1966, they tried to renew it in 1973. However, they did not bring Raymond Burr back. I don't know why. I couldn't really find out why. Maybe they were just trying to do something different. Because in my opinion, Raymond Burr is kind of boring. Like he doesn't have a lot of, like his personality is kind of like the lack of like his charm is like the lack of personality.
You better calm yourself, Morris.
Look, I don't dislike.
My nan's going to tell you right off because she loves Raymond Burr.
No, I'm not saying I don't like him because I do. Like I like watching Perry Mason. I have all the old ones. I don't have the 73 revival, but I like it. But he's not enigmatic. He's not like, you know what I mean? He doesn't. Like I said, his charm is in the lack of personality. He's very serious, which makes sense because he's playing a lawyer. Like I get that.
He's
like
got to be serious in the courtroom.
Sure. But I mean, even like if you look at shows
wheel all the time where there's a dancing baby. I mean, for Christ's sake.
That's funny. But you know, like Matlock or something, he's got personality. You know what I mean? Raymond Burr was very serious. He was very dry. He was very serious. Like there's a few times where he, you know, cracks a smile, but you know, it's usually like because I got you. You're going to jail. All right. So there was a 73 revival, which didn't do well. It had a completely different cast. It was poorly received. It only lasted for 15 episodes. Then, which I thought was cool, and I really like this next iteration, in 85, they reinvented the show again, with the original cast. And they turned it into television films, which I thought was a great move because I think in the 80s, really it started in the 60s, I think, with like Columbo and, you know, those sorts of shows. There was like this movie of the week sort of thing where Columbo was one of them. There was like 4 shows that were in rotation. So every week you would get one of these 4 shows. And that's the reason why there's only a certain number of episodes of Columbo, because you only got like one a month kind of thing. And so going into the 80s, you know, TV movies were becoming big again. And so them doing, you know, Perry Mason as an hour-and-a-half film, I thought that was a great idea, and I thought it worked really well. And what I thought was even cooler about this, and I'm probably the only one, but I was also a huge fan of The Greatest American Hero, which I don't know if you know what that is out there. But no. he was sort of like a dorky wannabe Superman kind of thing. He wasn't really a superhero, but what happened was like aliens, like an alien ship, like came to Earth and was off, you know, I don't know, somehow he got a hold of this like alien suit that gave him these special abilities. And so he tried to use it for good. And he's got this cop buddy friend of his, Robert Culp, who was in a lot of Columbo episodes as well. Helping him out in fighting crimes, so to speak. All right. So anyways, William Catt was the lead actor in that. And William Catt was the son of Barbara Hale, who was Raymond Burr's like secretary and sidekick in Perry Mason. And in the 85 revival version of the television movies, they brought in William Catt to play as sort of like the investigator that Mason would use to send out to find evidence and things like that. Kind of the same thing as the character in like Matlock or whatever, right? It was very similar format to Matlock. And so I thought that was cool because I was a pretty big fan of William Catt, and I got to meet him like, several years later and got pictures with him and stuff. But, so anyways, I ended up like really liking those, 30 some odd films that they made for that. I thought they were pretty cool and fun. And I didn't mind the longer hour and a half format either, as to where I found the original series to be sort of like, I didn't like dislike them. I still like them. They're interesting. But they're kind of a slog to get through. Like they're just, they're kind of boring. And so I can imagine some people not really latching onto them as well, as to where the 85 version was a little more, had some more action going on. You get to see other things happening, and, so they're a little easier to watch on the excitement level, I guess. So anyway, I don't know. Did you ever watch the 85 version or no?
Yeah, man, I told you, my nan loves bloody Raymond Burr, and she used to babysit me. So every afternoon we had to watch Perry Mason, and we had to sit in fucking silence the entire time.
Did you just say Raymond Burr used to babysit you?
No, my nan did, but she was obsessed with Raymond Burr.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Yeah, right. And John Wayne and Mel Gibson. Don't ask. So it was either, when I went there, it was either we watched True Grit, bloody Braveheart, or Perry Mason. That was it. That was that. And then you were quiet the entire time. You was on. From the minute the theme tune came on, you were not allowed to speak. Yeah. I wasn't allowed a glass of juice for an hour and a half.
That's kind of funny because that was, I don't think anybody in my family was really that way except for my step grandfather. My grandmother had remarried, and he would watch, Matlock. Like that was his thing. Like when Matlock came on, you sit down, you shut up, and you sat there and you watched it. That was like his thing. And that's probably where I sort of like first latched onto like murder mystery type stuff.
To be fair,
because I was familiar.
That's like me with Lily. Diagnosis Murders on. Bring me a coffee and shut up and get out. Get out the room. Yeah, and if you're not going to watch it, get out.
And Diagnosis Murder was one of the shows that would come on, but for some reason, like his show was Matlock. Like Diagnosis Murder would come on, it was kind of like, oh, okay, whatever, we'll watch that. But Matlock was that like, you be quiet, this is my show, and that's what we would watch, But
bit like you with Downton Abbey.
We finished it and we watched the movie too.
Oh, you saddos.
Yeah. No, it was good. I really liked it. And the movie was good, but it was kind of disappointing because there was like not a whole lot of drama compared to like the show. Have you watched the whole series or no?
No, look, it's absolute rubbish.
Maybe.
If you want a nice good series, you want to watch Monica the Glen. Right? No. It was written by the same guy who wrote Downton Abbey. He also starred in it.
Julian Fellows or whatever?
Yeah.
Okay.
He also starred in it as Kill Willie.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, that's his name. Kill Willie.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
It's got Richard Bryce in it. Bloody brilliant.
Okay. All right. Well, send me a message with that and I'll look it up. Because I thought Downton Abbey was pretty damn good. I don't have a problem with it at all.
Another fun fact. Our patch of land is really not that far away from where they filmed Monica the Glen. You can go to the castle. You can go to Glenbogle.
That's cool. That's pretty cool.
Street doesn't think so. I keep threatening to take him and he keeps putting it off. I think this COVID thing's a ruse, to be honest.
That's funny.
Yeah.
Just so he doesn't have to go.
Yeah, I got COVID again. Sorry, can't go Glenbogle this week.
All right. Well, okay. So let's get into what we're supposed to be here doing.
I know, yeah. I keep just completely derailing you. Sorry.
Perry Mason, 2020. Perry Mason is an American period drama television series based on the character of the same name created by Earl Stanley Gardner. It premiered on June 21st of 2020 on HBO. The series was developed and written by Roland Jones and Ron Fitzgerald and stars Matthew Reyes instead of Robert Downey Jr., unfortunately, because apparently there was scheduling conflicts. I'm assuming with his Marvel crap.
I was going to say Iron Man. You know, yeah.
Right. But he does, for whatever reason, executive produce it. So I'm assuming maybe he had something to do with the development of the series or something like that. Because usually executive producer titles like that are just throwaway titles for whatever reason. The series focuses on an origin story of the famed defense lawyer Perry Mason. All right. And it takes place in 1932 Los Angeles. And in Los Angeles at the time, they were prospering, but the rest of the U.S. wasn't doing so well because of the Great Depression. And not necessarily everybody in Los Angeles was doing well. Perry Mason in this version or this iteration, this is sort of like an origin story. This is kind of before Perry Mason. Yeah, what?
You're stepping on my synopsis.
Well, I mean, you got to chime in at some point.
I am now. You're stepping on my synopsis. You said origin story twice.
Damn it. Damn me. Damn me for doing your job. Before I go any further, and I might not even go any further at all because her shriek there almost killed me.
Oh my God, my psychic power is getting better.
I swear to God, her arm like reached through my microphone and grabbed my throat and said, "Shut up."
It's a gift.
So we better get into the synopsis, the in a nutshell synopsis for Carly. That's your cue, Carly.
Where's my piano music?
All right.
I mean, that's not it. Is it? Is this season 3 piano music?
This is season whatever was loaded into the soundboard. All right. And now it's time for Carly's super famous in a nutshell synopsis.
The origin story of a down and out, reckless PI with a penchant for being punched in the face as he transitions to becoming the master criminal defense attorney, Mr. Perry Mason.
I like that, getting punched in the face. He definitely does, doesn't he?
Yeah, he does a lot. Yeah.
Yeah. It's funny too because it reminds me of a little bit of Indiana Jones because he gets punched in the face a lot. I wasn't really expecting that in this show, but yeah, no, that's pretty good. I think that I think I personally wasn't ready for an origin story. I didn't think, well, how is that going to be interesting? But I think it's pretty cool, and it has such a close connection to like noir. In my opinion, like I think the feel of the show, even though it takes place in the early 1930s, I think it has more of a 40s feel to me, with the style of music that they use, with the locations that they use, all that kind of stuff. It feels way more 40s than it does early 30s to me. Because, early 30s is more of like the swinger, big band kind of era. Because we're coming right out of the 20s there, there still should be flappers around and things like that. But I feel like it has way more of a noir feel to it. It's so dark and gritty. Yeah, exactly. And it's set up with a private investigator, and it's very dark stories. Like down and out, everything about it is screams noir to me, except for whatever the actual time period is. That's the only thing that feels just slightly off to me, but that's not a big deal. And I wasn't around back then. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe that's the way everything was then too. Maybe that's how it led into the sort of, arrival of noir. Cause it's not like anybody set out to like, hey, let's make noir movies. Let's turn this into a genre. It's not something like that. It's something that was penned to those films, years later. So who knows? Maybe that was just sort of like the natural progression, and you just had to be there or experience it or be a history scholar or something. I don't really fucking know, but it feels extremely noir to me, and that just from the promo images and the trailers and things like that really, like, I was really looking forward to the show, and I was very disappointed that it was only 8 episodes? Yeah, 8 episodes. Yeah, I wanted more, and now it's been Jesus, it's been over a year.
Well, you got 7 bloody episodes more than me, pal. So
you'll have them. But yeah,
I mean, I'm just wondering about the bloody baby. So
right.
You need to explain to the listeners what you did.
What did I do?
Not send me the rest of Perry Mason.
Oh yeah, okay. So Carly couldn't get it out there in the UK, so I had to find a way to get her a copy of it. So I sent her the pilot episode, and that's what the show was supposed to be about, just the pilot. Because the whole series itself is like, I think it's a little too much to cover, and I was like, we can do more later on.
Well, yes, please.
I think we're gonna have 8 episodes of the Noircast with Perry Mason.
Okay.
Which is fine, I guess. Sure. But I figured we would just do the pilot and, move on. But, she really liked it that much. So that's cool. I did too. I thought it was great. And I watched it when it originally aired. So, with HBO, you have to wait a week, like traditionally with TV shows for the next episode. They don't just dump them like Hulu or Netflix or whatever, which I personally enjoy. And we actually had been doing that with other shows like Downton Abbey, even though it's ended, a while ago. We would only watch like one episode, a night or whatever it was, instead of like just binge watching it. And now we're sad it's over. But that was the same thing with Perry Mason. It's like, over the course of 8 weeks or whatever it is, and it ended. And I'm like, damn it. I really hope they pick it up again.
They are
there's
doing
a lot of people
too, aren't they?
They are. Unfortunately, though, the showrunners left. Jack Emile and Michael. Or sorry, no, they're the new ones. Roland Jones and Ron Fitzgerald, that developed it and wrote it, have left the series, and I don't know why. But they did leave, and they were replaced by Jack Emile and Michael Begler. So hopefully the show itself retains its quality and feel. Unlike, if you watched The Walking Dead after the first 2 seasons, that show changed quite a bit. And eventually lost its steam with its fans, or a large portion of its fans. Hopefully that doesn't happen with the show, and they're able to, carry it on. Because usually that's a bad sign when you lose your showrunners after the first season. There's no telling. It's usually like studio changing things or wanting to reduce the budget or whatever it might be. Who the fuck knows?
Creative differences.
Sure. Oh yes, the age-old creative differences. Yeah.
Yeah, if they're fighting to keep something. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm sure that's what it is. But we'll figure it out later. I'm sure well after season 2 comes out. If season 2 is received well, I'm sure that they're going to continue to keep whatever that reason was for replacing them, hidden, at least for a while. But if it does poorly, I'm sure that will come out pretty quickly. And then the new people are going to be blamed, right? It's usually how it goes. So anyways, the new Perry Mason, takes place in 1932 in Los Angeles, and it stars Matthew Reyes as Perry Mason, Juliette Rylance as Della Street, who is like his secretary of his mentor, I guess you would say. No, I'd call it a mentor. The guy that's teaching him to be a lawyer, basically.
Well, yeah,
right?
To be fair. Yeah.
And that's played by E.B. Jonathan is the name of the guy, the character, and it's played by John Lithgow, who I absolutely love. I think he's amazing.
Yes. Yeah.
100%. Like I just think he's a fantastic actor. If you've never seen Raising Cain, go watch it. Like everybody, he's just amazing in that. It's a sort of Neo Noir murder mystery. And Carly, if you haven't seen it, you'll love it. It's along the lines of Identity. It's really great. And John Lithgow is just amazing in it. It's like one of the most dark things he's ever done.
Oh, I might have to check that out because I love him in anything. Like my childhood was him, Third Rock from the Sun, Harry and the Hendersons. Mm-hmm. Like anything, even the small little fraction he did in Planet of the Apes just made so... I just think I'd watch him read the bloody phone book. And as soon as he walked on screen, I thought, oh, boom, we're in for something here.
Right. Yeah. No, he's really fantastic. And I think he's been well respected, but I don't think he ever got his just desserts as an actor. Like, I think he should be far more celebrated.
Yeah. I do think he's not underrated, but at the same time he is.
Mm-hmm.
He's probably not underrated to his peers, but generally he's very underrated.
Yeah. I don't think Hollywood uses him far near enough. Like he needs to, and maybe that's his own personal choice. Maybe that's his balance between life and work. I don't know. You never know with those sorts of things, but I definitely could use more of him in my life. I think I would watch anything that he's in. I think he's amazing. Then let's see, a surprising, I really like this guy. Like I can't recall what else he's been in. I've seen him before, but Shia Wingham. I don't know if I'm pronouncing his name right.
Is that his friend?
Shia. It's SHEA. Wigham or Wigham, something like that. WHIGHAM. He plays Pete Strickland, and he's his work partner.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's fantastic in this show. Like, he's got Mason's number, calls bullshit, but also is a very, very loyal friend. Even though Perry Mason in this version, is really great at pushing people away. Not purposely, just because he's just, he's not 100% himself, I guess. And so I think they made a great balance between those two, characters. And I'm hoping to see a lot more of him in season 2. I really am. Cause he's kind of like the Scully to the Mulder and X-Files, right? He's the sane version or the sane partner, in my opinion. So, Carly, tell me, I want to, cause I've seen this a while ago. Like, I saw this over a year ago. Tell me what, when I brought this up, were you excited to check out this series, or were you sort of like, and then when you saw it, you're like, oh, I love this? Or tell me how that went for you. Tell me your experience of being able to watch the pilot. Okay.
So I was not excited in the slightest to watch it, because I get very annoyed and defensive with remakes, which sometimes is valid and sometimes is not. But in my head, I immediately go, doesn't need to be done. What are we doing?
Mm-hmm.
But I have to say, just the first scene.
Mm-hmm. It's good.
Oh my God, I like this. I really, really like this. And it wasn't,
because it kind of grips you with the cinematography,
everything. It looked so good, and it really reminded me of a game that Street plays. I think it's LA Noir. I can't remember what it's called.
Oh, it's so good. Yeah, LA Noir.
That. And I used to sit and watch him play it because I really like watching the imagery. Mm-hmm. And as soon as it came on, I thought, oh my God, this is like that.
Yeah.
And I really didn't take a lot of notes because I was just invested in it. And it was quite good because it was actually able to make me forget that it was Perry Mason.
Uh-huh.
Which I liked a lot. Yeah. I don't know. Do you guys know about Morse? Do you have Morse on US TV?
Yeah. I mean,
Inspector Morse.
We pretty much have everything that you guys have out there is on, because we have VOD services like Acorn or things like that have pretty much all the British shows. But Detective Morse does show up quite often on the popular lists and things like that.
So
I haven't personally watched it yet, but yeah.
So it's a bit like that. So Morse is a very beloved character, a very beloved series. And they did a prequel series called Endeavour,
mm-hmm.
which is Morse in his early years. And it's quite a stark contrast because when you see John Thor as Morse, in his 50s, 60s, 70s, it's very different to seeing him in his 20s. when he made mistakes and was very reckless and didn't really care a lot. I personally think Endeavour is fantastic. And a lot of people have warmed to it now. But that's very much the situation with this Perry Mason. People are so used to seeing him in a courtroom doing it this way. When you present him as kind of like a bit of a washed up arsehole, they're like, what? That's not Perry Mason. Yeah, but this is how it gets to him. So I actually quite like that because of my perseverance with the Morse series and Endeavour. So I think I was maybe a bit more open to, okay, well, let's see where this goes. Yeah, because, 20 years ago, everybody was an arsehole. They were very different.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it was a harder life from what I can understand, just right off the top. And then obviously he's going through a divorce. He's struggling to make ends meet. His mentor, so to speak, is throwing him bones, to like give him detective work. But he's not even doing that well himself. He's getting older, and obviously they're setting him up to retire or die or whatever it might be. Or maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. Maybe he'll be around for a while, hopefully. But, like you can see the little setups there and how this, it's like you can see what they're going to eventually make him into the Perry Mason that we know. But I'm not 100% sure that they're going to make him the exact same Perry Mason. We'll have to see, because that will be interesting to me. It'll be interesting where this version ends up in the long run, or how long it's even going to take them to end up there. Like, how long does he stay a private eye? How long does he, when does he make that sort of character arc, Because that was the one thing in the original Perry Mason show. There's really no character arc. He's a lawyer. This is what he does. He solves crimes, or in the courtroom sort of thing. And that's it. This Perry Mason is starting from scratch, and he's going to have a big arc somewhere.
Yeah. See, I really like the idea in the pilot of the whole idea of you need to think about your actions and kind of decide what you want to do, who you want to be, where you want to put your talents, who you want to fight for. So I really like that idea. The only thing that surprised me a little bit was how the age of Perry Mason in the pilot. With Endeavour, I can't remember the chap's name who plays him. I think he's probably sitting maybe in his 30s. So it's like a 30-year-old Morse. So you've got a lot of longevity before he becomes the Morse that everybody's familiar with. With this, he seemed to be, I personally would probably preferred it if he was a little bit younger. Just so that the recklessness, I bought it a little bit more.
I got you, yeah.
I don't see a lot of longevity between him and then the Perry Mason. But like you said, they might not go that route. If they were trying to link it up that way, it doesn't kind of sit quite right. And that's the only part that I would say that I found distracting, because my mind started going, hold on a minute. He's only 6 years.
Let me throw this at you and see if you can see this working, because I get what you're saying 100%, and you could be right. I think that a lot of what he does that might be sort of schemy or maybe less than moral, I think what they're trying to do is put it as more of an environmental necessity and making that a mindset, because this is sort of what you have to do to survive in that world. Like, because we're talking in the 30s, the Great Depression's happening. There's a lot of people out of work doing, you know what I mean? Like you're coming off the coattails of like the Industrial Revolution and things like that, where, life was drastically different then than it is now, or even the Perry Mason that we saw in the 50s where people are thriving, I think that, that might be the reason why they're showing him in that way. Not necessarily for that idea of being younger and making mistakes, but rather having to be that type of person in order to survive, like having to be a little more shrewd, a little more less moral in order to just get by. Like some people might not have the choice or the, otherwise you're just you're going to die. You're not going to be able to put food on the table. You're not going to be able to do it. Like that's the way that world worked. And I think going into the 40s, specifically with corruption and police and all those kinds of things, were made it tough. And that's the reason why there was a lot of gangsters that came out of that time period, with prohibition and all that kind of stuff leading into the 40s. I think that might be where they're driving that from a little bit more than just being a young person having not figured life out. But I think that's also part of it too, because at this point in his life, he hasn't had, I wouldn't say he hasn't had responsibilities because, obviously he was previously married and just gotten a divorce. And I think
but
the
you have the
farm
war
he lives
aspect,
on.
so he didn't really experience those responsibilities because he was away.
Exactly. Like during that time, he was, away at war. And so he's seeing real, grit and danger and gruesomeness really, at that time of where most people, later on in the 50s would be out, driving fast cars and, eating at the drive-in hop or going to the drive-in, whatever it is, they'd be out having fun, they'd be James Dean or something. Right. As to where even if he hadn't gone to war, I think life was drastically different at that point in the 30s for, a young 20 something than it would have been in the 50s. I think at that point they're already working hard in their life. They already have like some, steel worker job or whatever it might be, working in a factory. You know what I mean? Like, I think life in general was just much harder at that time than it was going into, like the 50s or something, which is when the other Perry Mason is coming around. So we still have like 20 years from now, or even longer, like almost 25 years or so between this version of Mason and the original TV show. So that's a lot of time to come into it. And I think what's going to eventually happen is something dramatic, like very dramatic and personal and close to him, is what's going to make that switch for him. Either a major, massive case he's going to end up being a part of that's going to sort of readjust his morals, or something extremely personal is going to, but I think it's going to get much darker before we ever get to that. But I think 25 years is a good amount of time. But we'll see. And I do respect and understand where you're coming from, with thinking that it might've been a younger version, because that makes total sense.
I think that's why my brain was fighting initially. And I think perhaps, that's why some people, I did a little bit of research after I'd watched the pilot to see how people reacted to it, because I know always when you touch a little sort of beloved character, people are always going to kick off. Always. Sure. And I saw one review that made me laugh, but it was quite accurate. And not in a dig way, because I really loved it. But I can't remember who the person was, but they said basically, everyone plays their roles as if they've been told their salaries will be docked if they let in the slightest trace of humour.
Right.
And I thought, do you know what? That's quite accurate.
Yeah. I would say it's accurate to everybody except for the coroner.
Oh my God, when he bought a tie from the coroner, I had to pause it because I was laughing my arse off that much.
Yeah. And it's a scene that I think works so well in this show good. Because talking about his morals, what he's doing, like he's looking for a new tie, but I mean, we're talking in the 30s, he can't afford a tie.
No, he's just been told to get a tie to dress up. So he's like, right, okay, well, I only know like 4 people, so I'm going to go and ask this dude.
Yeah, and this is a regular thing for him. This is where he goes to get whatever he does, right? And this corner does it, whatever. And he's obviously trying to be friends with Mason. And Mason's just like, are you lonely? Like, what is going on? You know, and the coolest thing about the scene is like going back to like the idea of Mason's morals in the show and how he's different than the Mason we know later on. He keeps seeing the baby covered in the sheet over on another table, and you see him like kind of glance at it, like, and it's working on him, you know, because you got this curiosity, like, okay, really, there's a dead baby. Like, we're seeing him open all these drawers to these men, these people that are probably shitty people or have died of old age or whatever it might be, you know. But then when you see a baby, it's just like there's no reason for a baby to die, right? Hopefully it was an accident. Hopefully it was, you know, something else. But he keeps seeing it, and it piques his curiosity. And he's just like, so what's up with that over there, you know, kind of thing. And I really loved that moment because you see the vulnerability, or at least the sort of the quality of his character sort of comes out of all of that other shit that's going on in his life. And we get to sort of see his curiosity and know that, well, maybe I need to be involved in that, you know?
Yeah, it's
and that's kind of what happens.
Like a sixth sense, but also I love so much when he goes back to the coroner again, and even though the coroner's tried to kind of make a bit of small talk and kind of open himself up to him, and he's like, I just want a tie from a dead man, whatever. And then the next time he sees them, he's having to, you know, pull a thread from a dead baby's eyes. Yeah. And it turns out that the coroner was right when he said, like, it's like nothing you've ever seen. And then they kind of have that moment where he's not going to acknowledge that he was right, kind of thing. But it's kind of, you know, kind of like just a shared moment. And they're so opposite shared moments. I thought that was just, I really like that.
Yeah, no, I agree. Totally agree. I did want to bring up another thing because you brought up X-Files a few times. We get a little treat with seeing Robert Patrick.
Yes.
In this episode, which is really cool. I didn't know he was in the show at all when I first watched, and I was like, oh, cool. It's always enjoyed.
I love when he pops up in a pilot because you know it's going to be good. If Robert Patrick pops up in a pilot, it's good.
Yeah, right. That's like he, you know, that's a good choice. It's good to see him, and you know, doing stuff, and then there's another little small connection here, most likely unintentional, but it's a connection that I like because we got a connection to the X-Files with Robert Patrick, but then there's this sort of adjacent sort of connection with the eyes being sewn open with this pilot episode of The Baby. And then in the pilot episode of Millennium, which is also the other Chris Carter show, we had the serial killers sewing people's eyes and mouths shut. And so that was very reminiscent for me as I'm watching this episode. And it just, because that was one of the most scariest, like, things ever to pop up on TV at the time, you know, seeing somebody's eyes and mouths shut that are still alive. Like, it's just like, whoa, kind of thing at that time. And then to have the
opposite of somebody that's dead and having the eyes sewed open. Yeah.
Yeah. So as soon as there was any talk about that, or as soon as you see it, like, oh man, it's totally reminded me of Millennium. Like, the darkness of this show, like, fits in very well with the world of Millennium and the darkness of that show.
Yeah.
You know, and then Robert Patrick showing up, who obviously played in the last several seasons of the X-Files, was sort of like, you know, it makes me wonder, were they fans of those shows, you know, that kind of thing. And just, but that's where my mind goes. Like, it had a very strong feel to me to Millennium. It's a very different show, but that
it had a bit of a Chris Carter kind of darkness vibe running through it. I felt the same as well, which maybe is why I liked it so much.
Right.
Or one of the reasons.
It even gets into a little bit of religion and things like that, which is, you know, ends up being in the X-Files and Millennium as well. So if they had told me, like, this was written by Carter, this was produced by Carter, whatever it might have been, I wouldn't have been surprised at all. Like, there's a lot of feeling, you know, similarities to those other shows that he's done. But yeah. So since this is a pilot episode and it's an ongoing story, I don't want to ruin too much of the actual storyline
Don't ruin it for me.
Yeah, I really don't. And I don't want to ruin it for you or anybody at home that hasn't seen it. But I just want to, I wanted us to be able to talk about it and talk about the connection to noir and the feel and the look and, the actors and the acting quality and all that kind of stuff, because I think they did a phenomenal job. I really love the music in the show too.
Yes,
I don't know if that stood out for you, but I really enjoyed it. It has that, it's kind of sexy saxophone noir feel to it. And
they use the music. Have you seen Peaky Blinders?
I haven't.
Okay, so you need to watch
everybody
that.
loves that show, but
Well, I loved the first 2 series of the show. First 2. But they do a very good job of setting up the kind of the world. It's almost, if it was darker, it would be film noir, but it's not. They do a very good job of creating an atmosphere. And instead of, they're very good at showing, not telling in Peaky Blinders. And they use the music incredibly. The music is like an additional character talking to you. And that's one of the reasons why I like it so much, which I think they lost a little bit as they went on. But this reminded me very much of that. When the music would come in, potentially some people will find it distracting, but a lot of people will feel it's kind of almost like a secondary character, like a bit of a narration through music. And I think that's what they did here. They did that so well. Yeah,
I would agree with that. Yeah. Yep. I think that it plays a very strong role in this show. And I hope that we get to see a lot more of this show, really. If they keep the quality going, I really hope that we get to see more of it, because it's a pretty solid show. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it way more than I thought I would.
I'm with you. It blew me away because I didn't have high hopes for it. Plus, I'm not being funny. I always love it when you get a detective or a PI or whatever sat on a hardwood floor, surrounded by photos, putting evidence together.
Right? There's something about it.
There is something about that. When you watch a pilot episode or an episode in a TV show, when they sit on the bloody floor, they start spreading evidence around. Oh, heck, we're in for a good show.
Right?
Yeah. Oh, love a bit of string. All we need is a bit of string on some pins with some little photo. Oh, yes.
Yeah, I agree. All right, Carly. Just because we don't want to dig too deep into the storyline of the show, because it is a pilot for a TV show, maybe we should start. We'll give the pilot a rating. What do you think?
I concur. Yes.
All right.
You go first.
Okay. I gotta go first. Okay. So for me, like I said before, I really think that this has some really strong ties to like a noir feel. I think with the lead character, even just looking at him, he just looks like he's beaten to death already, and he's young.
Oh my God,
he's not
such
super
a
young.
worn face.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
and that's where I sort of I enjoy it being him instead of Robert Downey Jr. Because Robert Downey Jr. to me is just too recognizable. Like you'll never be able to get past it's Robert Downey Jr. playing Robert Downey Jr. because he's one of those people that you might enjoy his movies that he's in, but he really is kind of the same person and everything, except for maybe Tropical Thunder.
Wow.
that was the one that was very different. But, for the most part, he's still him, even in Sherlock. So I enjoy it being this, Matthew Rhys, which I don't know him from anything else. Maybe he's been in other stuff. I don't know. This is the only thing I know him from.
Apparently he was in a TV series. I haven't watched it myself. Oh God, I'm going to sound so awful because I don't know the name. Something to do with spies. But apparently he was fantastic in that. Absolutely brilliant.
Interesting. Yeah, I'll have to look that up. But yeah, so I really enjoyed that. And then with the supporting cast was seeing people like John Lithgow, come in, and even Robert Patrick, adding credibility to the show, and then the filming quality, the music, just everything about the interesting story, the side cases that he has, delving into his own personal issues and past. I thought it was all it's well written, it's well shot, it's well acted. And I probably would have expected to give this show like a 5 maybe at best when I first went into it. But I mean, having seen it, I think it's solid. I give this show an absolute 10. I think it's well done. And I hope that going forward, the next season is just as good. Yeah. Let's hear you tear it apart.
Do you know what? For once, I'm not going to. I absolutely agree. And I would give it a 10 out of 10 on what I've seen so far, because I've not seen the whole series, but solid pilot episode. I would 100% give that a 10 out of 10.
Cool.
Which is very unusual for me, because I am so picky with TV shows. And I don't have the patience. When they go, oh, give it a couple of episodes, it gets better. I have no patience. I'm out. Episode 2, I'm done.
Right. No, I hear you.
The strength of the pilot episode, even if episode 2 wasn't that great, I would still push on to 3 or 4, which is quite a big deal for me, because, like I say, I check out quite easily with TV shows because there's that many.
Now, are you that way more towards American TV or any TV? Because your guys' shows are generally a lot shorter. So if you invest in watching like a series for you guys, which is a season for us, you might be talking
it's like 4 episodes,
4 episodes or whatever it might be. Yeah. So it's a little less of an investment.
I think the difference is, like, for example, because our networks work, I don't know how your networks work, but our networks are quite different. So, for example, ITV, which did Downton Abbey, they either do TV movies, detective TV movies, so like Frost, Morse, that kind of thing, which you tune in for the character. Midsummer Murders, you tune in for the characters, not necessarily the story. Or they do sort of 2-part, 3-part dramas, like Broadchurch. Okay. So, again, you there's a lot going on. There's a hell of a lot going on in a short space of time. Whereas the BBC will take longer. So, for example, Waking the Dead. So it would be more about the characters, not necessarily the story. They're all like state of play. So they'll have more of a sort of overarching story that takes a bit longer because you don't care as much about the characters. So you need to get invested a bit more.
Okay, I see.
Maybe that's why I don't have as much patience, because I'm either tuned in for the characters or I'm tuned in for the story. There's kind of no in between, if that makes sense. Sure.
And then it's like a nice surprise where it's both, right?
Exactly, yeah. Whereas, but they get a little bit like the Hallmark Channel, so they do get a little bit paint by numbers. So if you've watched one, you've watched the same kind of 5.
Yeah, I mean, that's how I feel about Midsummer.
Again, yeah, which is why, again, you tune in. This is probably, again, why I watch stuff for actors. Oh, John Sims in this ITV drama. I'll watch it for him. Oh, it's a thriller. Well, it's just going to be like the last one he did, but I quite like watching him, so let's see if he does anything different.
Okay.
They are pushing the boundaries a bit more with people like Sky, doing 6-part, 8-part, 9-part series. But again, it's still very, very close to the same formula that they don't want to change, which is understandable because it works.
Right.
I think that's why I like this so much, because it was such a middle ground tap into into both. So I really liked what they were doing with the characters, but it was moving fast enough for me to enjoy the story.
Right. Yeah. And I think that's the, like we were talking about earlier, where, older shows had a lot of standalone, like this is that type of show where it's not going to have standalones, but everything else is so well done that it's okay that they don't have that, because, it's a high quality show.
But what I think also is nice is that there's kind of, this is going to sound really stupid when I say it, but there's kind of standalone moments for the characters. So even though I'm not getting my standalone episode that I like, that I can dip into and go, straight watch this. No, you like the Exiles. Just watch this episode. It's funny. Even though I haven't got that, I've kind of got standalone moments for the characters of being a little bit different than they would. Doing something a little bit different than they would normally do. So I'm quite satisfied with those moments. Even I'm not bored with the pace. Does that kind of make sense? It's
not. Yeah, it totally does. They're not 100% just focusing on the main storyline. They're cutting away and they're showing, Mason's life with this woman he's entwined with, and his losing his house, and all that kind of stuff, and
like this silly stuff with the film company when he tries to push them too far, and then they burn a hole in his fucking chest. I mean, FYI, we should totally run Resurrection films like the Mob. Anyone that crosses us, we're going to burn a hole in them. Just saying.
Yeah, and I really hope that they sure.
Yes.
I really hope that they keep going with the side quests, so to speak. You know what I mean? Like, it's not part of the main story, but it'll be nice to break away from the main story to get stuff like that. Him having other cases that he's doing, other things that he's doing, while having to also juggle this other darker stuff. Because come on, he's taking photos of a star doing unspeakable things with another star, right? And it was when I saw it, I was like, oh my God, that's so gross.
With a bit of a buffet as well. I mean, bloody hell, fire. It's like quadruple.
But you know what I mean? So like there was some levity there before the mass of darkness,
Before.
So if they're able to incorporate more of that going forward, I think that's going to be cool. I think it'll be just like the game that Street is playing, LA Noir, where you have that's a great game. You got all these little side quests, you got your main story, it's pretty cool. So I think they have a really strong chance of making this a long running series. I don't know if they will, because it's HBO. It might get, if it does well, it might get like 8 seasons or something, but who knows? We'll see what happens. So there you have it, folks. That's 10 gens out of 10 gens, 10 gens out of gen. I don't know.
That's a lot of bloody gens.
We both give it 10. We hope you guys check it out if you haven't already. Perry Mason came out in July of 2020. The second season hopefully will be out fairly soon. And it's I don't know. Let's see. Maybe I'm wrong with is 20. Let's see. When did this come out in 2021? I thought it came out in 2020. Am I wrong on this?
You're asking me. It's literally come to me in 2022, love. So.
Yeah, I don't know. I can't remember if it was 2020 or 2021. Everything blurs together with all the COVID stuff. It's so crazy. I think it was 2020.
Time has no meaning anymore.
Right. Anyway, you guys should check it out. Hopefully the second season will be out fairly soon, and we hope you enjoy it as much as we do. And we hope that you guys can make this Matatuck mystery cocktail and tell us what you think about it. All right. And like we said before, we're turning the Speakeasy into a weekly podcast. So we're going to have episodes out to you every week. And hopefully we'll be able to stick to that if we're not too drunk. All right.
Yeah. And we could use some suggestions. So maybe people should start tagging us. Right. We're going to run out of bloody films.
No, we're going to run out of drinks.
Yeah. Oh no. Hold on. Calm down. Priorities.
All right, guys. We will see you next time.
Bye-bye.
He's looking at you, kid.
Thanks for joining us this week on the Speakeasy Noircast. Make sure to visit our website, resurrectionfilms.net, where you can subscribe to the show on iTunes, Stitcher, or any of your favorite podcast apps so you'll never miss a show. While you're at it, if you found value in the show, we'd appreciate a rating on iTunes, or if you'd simply tell a friend about the show, that would help us out too. If you like the show, you might want to check out our book, The Dark Side of Acting Up and The Dark Side of Acting Up Volume 2, now available on Amazon. Or you can check out one of our films, also available on Amazon Prime. Be sure to tune in next week for another episode of the Speakeasy Noircast.